Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Srila Prabhupada. Today Guru Maharaj is going to continue on the process of devotional service. We are at the end of the chapter almost. So Guru Maharaj will continue with the chapter. I'll share the screen, Guru Maharaj. Guru Maharaj, you're on mute, Guru Maharaj. You have to unmute.
Yeah. But don't lock it. No. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktavinda Yatta Haiti Paya Krishna Prema Sevanan Aite Kalilun Avideya Vivaranam. That by which one can attain loving service to the Lord I have described in detail as the execution of devotional service called Abhideya. So Abhideya, the Vedas are made up of three distinct categories. One is called Sambandha, the second is called Abhideya, and the third is called Prayojana. Sambandha means relationship. Before you can understand how to execute devotional service, you have to understand the principle of how relationship works in connection with Krishna, with the material energy, with the spiritual master, with other living entities in different categories. Abhideya is the largest of all of the categories in the Vedas, and it's the foundation for the execution of devotional service. In the sense that the more we are clear and understanding of the principles of Abhideya and its different features, the more easy it is to understand the process of bhakti called Abhideya. And so Abhideya is the execution of devotional service as mentioned here. That is the process. So the activities of devotional service are called Abhideya. The third category, which is the result of the first two, is Prayojana. Prayojana means the goal. What is the goal of the execution of devotional service? Prema Pumartha Mahan. The goal is to reawaken one's natural, eternal, spontaneous love for Krishna through the process of devotional service. So everything has a goal. Whatever we do in life, we have a particular desired outcome, and that is called the goal. So the goal of the execution of devotional service is focused on awakening and experiencing loving relationships with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So here we are mentioned, the process is mentioned as Abhideya. Text 167. Abhideya Sarana Bhakti Eva Kalilun Sanatana San Sepa Kailun Vistara Nayaya Varnana. My dear Sanatana, I have briefly described the process of devotional service and practice, which is the means for obtaining love of God, Krishna. It cannot be described broadly. So here is an emphasis from the previous verse that the devotional service in practice comes to the process of obtaining love for Krishna. And as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, it cannot be described broadly. It's so broad. Abhidaya Sadhana Bhakti Sumiye Jana Archira Payase Krishna Premadan. Whoever hears this description of the process of practiced devotional service very soon attains shelter at the lotus feet of Krishna in loving affection. So Lord Chaitanya is giving the formula, and the last verse in the chapter, Sri Rupa Raghunath Pade Yara Asa Chaitanya Charitamrita Kahe Krishna Dasa. Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami sums up his writings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's chapter 22, entitled Devotional Service, praying at the lotus feet of Sri Rupa and Sri Raghunath, always designed their mercy. I, Krishna Das, narrate Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, following in their footsteps. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports to Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, 22nd chapter, describing the execution of devotional service. Om Agyan, Mirandasya, Jana Jana Salakaya, Chaksun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha, Nama Om Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prastaya Bhutale, Sri Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine, Namaste Saraswati Deve, Gauravani Prachadine, Niyavrisesa, Sunyavari, Pastyatya Desatarne, Vanchakalpa Tarubhischa, Vipasindu Devacha, Ditanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaho Namaha, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, does that last 169? Yeah, okay, that's the only purport. Okay. So what we have discussed in the last few months, 2 months maybe, is this chapter on devotional service. It's Lord Chaitanya's instructions to one of his leading followers, Srila Sanatana Goswami. So for those of you who have been with us most of the time, you got a clear and complete overview of what is the process of devotional service. Devotional service is the natural characteristic of the living entity's existence. In the material world, devotional service takes on the form of service. And in the sense that people cannot do anything but serve, because our nature is to serve, whether we're in the spiritual realm, serving the Lord and his pure devotees, or in the material world, we are serving also. We're serving our families, friends, society, people in general. We're serving our boss if we have a job. We're serving the government in different ways. We're serving. And if we're not doing any of these, which is rare, then we're serving our own concocted desires. So no one can get away from service. We're serving our mind, we're serving our body, we're serving cats and dogs. Service is the nature of the living entity's existence. There's no such thing as someone who is not serving. Service is there. It's fundamental to our existence. But service to the Supreme Lord is the only form of service that elevates one in the process of finding complete satisfaction in the activities of service. In the material world, people are serving, but they continue to serve, and they'll, even when they're old and they can't serve anymore, still they're expected to serve. The service is there, it's always there. You can't get away from service. But if we want to find that service that is satisfying, that is elevating, that brings happiness, that carries with it knowledge, then we have to serve the Supreme Lord in devotion. And that is the actual principle of our existence as a pair. When we serve in the material world, we are taking on false sense of service because the people we are serving is not worthy of being served. And at the same time, no one's satisfied by another person's service. Even if it is, it's very temporary. But service goes on. And here we were describing two types of service, or two categories of service. That is, sadhana bhakti is divided into two aspects of itself. One is called Vaidhi Bhakti. Vaidhi made up the majority of the verses in this discussion, in this chapter. And that comprised rules, regulations, restrictions, various types of activities that must be performed, various types of activities that must be avoided. So that is the beginning of devotional service, in the sense that we're practicing how to become a devotee. So sadhana bhakti in the first part is called Vaidhi Bhakti, which really means rules and regulations. It's just like when you're learning something, say you're learning music, there may be certain rules and regulations and ways to learn, so you follow that. As you develop your musical skills, it becomes natural. You don't think in terms of the rules and regulations anymore. You just play the music. It becomes natural. So in the same way, our service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead is our nature, therefore it's natural. But because we are covered by the association of the material energy, the three modes of material energy, nature, we need to awaken that natural propensity to serve the Lord by following rules and regulations and restrictions. Once those rules and regulations and restrictions become executed regularly and naturally, devotional service starts to transform itself into a more of an attractive feature as opposed to a responsible feature. In other words, duty turns into attraction. In the beginning, it's just duty. But as we develop, and we also hear about Krishna, chant Krishna's name, engage in various processes of devotional service, our attraction for Krishna is awakening. When that attraction reaches a point of attachment, and that is the sixth stage of bhakti, it's called ashakti. And on that point, or on that level, then it's no more following rules and regulations. It's following in the footsteps of the residents of Vrindavan by executing devotional service under the guidance, as we were hearing yesterday, of one resident of Vrindavan according to the particular mellow relationship with Krishna. So we must follow that system. But the rules and regulations and restrictions are supportive until we can get to the platform spontaneity or natural attraction for Krishna. A natural attraction for Krishna is the soul's nature. As Prabhupada says, devotional service is not something you have to bring in from the outside. It's not something you have to learn. It's something you have to uncover. It's already there. So these principles that we discussed, we discussed the 64 items of devotional service. Some accepting, some rejecting. That's the heart of Vaidhi Bhakti, those 64 principles. And that's mentioned by Srila Rupa Goswami in Nectar Devotion. And then we come, so devotional service has to come to the stage of Abhilasita Sunya, which means free from Jnana Karmananavritam Anukulena. Jnana Karma, Jnana and Karma, Anvritam, means that it must be free from any desire for personal gain, any desire from personal gain through philosophical speculation. It must be executed for Krishna with a desire to please Krishna. That is pure devotional service. And that's the goal of devotional service. We speak of devotional service as mixed, just like in the Bhagavatam, it talks about devotional service in the mode of goodness, devotional service in the mode of passion, devotional service in the mode of ignorance. These are terms that are used just to explain what is mixed devotional service. And so most of us are in the categories of mixing in something material in our spiritual practice. And that is called Karma Mishra Bhakti, Jnana Mishra Bhakti, like that. But actually, Sudha Bhakti is the goal, pure devotional service. And this verse by Rupa Goswami explains what is pure devotional service. Free from any personal desire for gain, and for Krishna with a desire to please Krishna. That is pure devotional service. And so that's the nature of the soul. We should think, just like we want to please someone who we are close to, or some friend. We think whether they like, and maybe we attain that, and then we give it to them at a certain time with affection, with attachment, with the hope that they will enjoy what we give them, they will benefit from what we give them, like what we give them. So in the same way, we apply these same principles to Krishna in our execution of devotional service. And that brings us to the stage of Sudha Bhakti. Sudha Bhakti is the goal of Bhakti, ultimately. And Bhakti is very merciful. Sometimes we hear what is the activities of devotional service, but unless it lines itself up from some particular chapter, you can't call it devotional service. Otherwise, anyone can say anything and call it devotional service. And that's what's being done nowadays. So it's easy. If we just read the books and hear regularly and contemplate qualities of Krishna, the beauty of Krishna, the fame of Krishna. Krishna is so famous that he spoke the Bhagavad Gita 5,000 years ago or more, and we're still discussing it, even today. That's an example of his fame. The strength is demonstrated by the fact that he's holding up all of these material worlds. They're floating in an ocean of air. Sometimes we say that, gravity is doing it. But gravity is simply an energy of the Supreme Lord. The scientists don't want to give credit to God, so they come up with some scientific term. They call it gravity or some other name. But what is gravity? It's just a word. That's all it is. It doesn't tell you anything. Oh, it's gravity. That's nice. What does that mean? Nothing. Zero. But gravity is an energy of the Lord. It's his energy for controlling and maintaining the material energy. And so he puts these big planets that are billions of tons in weight. You can't even measure the Earth. You can't even weigh the Earth planet. It's so heavy. But it floats, and just like a cotton swab floats in the air. It floats in the air. Who's doing it? It's gravity. Well, what does that mean? Just like when animals do something in a particular way, they say, well, that's the instinct of an animal. They use the word instinct. That's another misnomer, instinct. That's a word that doesn't say anything. It's instinct. What is that supposed to mean? Well, it means that it's the natural proclivity or natural tendency of that living entity. So where does it come from? Well, what is it? Well, actually, it's God in the heart of the living entities who's directing the wanderings of living entities. Similarly, it's God's energy that's holding up this material energy. And it's floating in an ocean of air. That's Krishna. So everything comes back to Krishna. So the science of bhakti is very simple, but the practice of bhakti is very simple. The science of bhakti is very deep and very complex because it covers everything in relationship to the Supreme Lord. And so we can perform bhakti in 9 different ways. As was mentioned in this chapter, there's 9 different angas or limbs. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smarnam, Archanam, Padasevanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. 9 different processes of devotions. Hearing about Krishna, chanting the glories of Krishna, remembering Krishna, offering prayers to Krishna, worshiping Krishna, offering service to Krishna, becoming a friend of the Lord, and surrendering everything to the Lord. These are the 9 processes. And Prabhupada said, try to adopt all 9 of them. But if you can't, 8. Then he said, if you can't, 7. And if you can't, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. And he got down to 1. He said, but develop at least one of them. Shravana. Shravana is the most important because from Shravanam, everything expands itself. When we hear, we can chant. When we hear, we can remember. When we hear, we can serve. When we hear, we can remember prayers and offer them. So the most important out of the 9 is hearing. Oh, okay. Hare Krishna. Any questions?
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much for giving this class today. It's very important to know about process of devotional service and finally reaching to Anyabhilashita Shunyam. That is the main goal of this process. Thank you so much, Guru Maharaj. And attaining Krishna Prema.
That's
So
the goal.
dear
That's the
devotees,
only. There are short-term goals which are meant to support and lead to the long-term goal, which is Prema Pumarta Mahan, love for Krishna. So we have questions from Raj and from Rishabh.
yes, Guru Maharaj. Rishabh Prabhu, you want to go first?
Yes. Hare Krishna. I cannot hide myself. Guru Maharaj always knows everything on my mind.
Well, that's your business to hide yourself.
I'm getting out of my shell. I hope so. Maharaj, thank you very much, especially for repeating the same message again and again until we get it, because the process is so simple and we managed to complicate it so much. I actually had an introspective question. Do we have to come to your level, or do we have to just come to a certain level of surrender to Krishna? Because this is what you were actually trying to. I mean, yeah, I was just having this thought in my mind. If you have any comments.
My level, if you come to my level, you won't get anywhere. You have to go higher than. I don't even know what my level is. In fact, my level is not so level. So you have to come to the you have to come at least to the platform of ruchi, where you're developing a sweet taste in devotional service. And that follows nishta. Nishta means 75% of the anarthas have been destroyed. And you can, once you come to that stage, you're fixed in devotional service. You won't be deviated by anything. Although you may not be on the stage of pure devotional service, you're fixed in the execution of devotional service. That's the stage of nishta, which is the fifth stage. And then that leads to ruchi. Ruchi means sweet taste, where the sweet taste of devotional service is constant. Once you situate yourself on that, and then gradually, through very careful execution of devotional service, you can move forward, actually coming to the platform of ashakti, spontaneous attraction for Krishna.
So should we come to Baba? Should we have to come to Baba this life, or is it enough to come to Ashakti?
Baba's the stage before prema. But Baba and prema look similar. Baba looks similar to prema in its preliminary stages. Baba simply means affection, intense affection with attraction come. And there are symptoms of that stage. One cannot stop thinking of Krishna. One is always thinking of Krishna. One is offering beautiful prayers to Krishna. One is thinking of different ways to please Krishna. It's a high stage, Baba. But prema is the goal, and prema is the nature of the soul. Baba is a preliminary stage of prema, that's all it is. But it's not prema. Prema is solid. You can fall down from Baba. You can't fall down. Well, you can fall down from prema on its lower stages. The only way you can't fall down is when you see Krishna face to face. Then there's no question falling down.
Thank you, Maharaj.
It's a process. Rupa Goswami explains it. Nectar Devotion explains it in detail. Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Jaiva Dharma explains it. Bhagavatam explains it in different, less sequential, but it explains it in various parts of itself. If you want it in a very sequential way, you read Nectar of Devotion or Jaiva Dharma by Bhaktivinoda Thakur.
You already recommended the Java Dharma.
And this chapter we just went through, really, Lord Chaitanya explained it also, the different stages. And one of the things you have to know, which is required, is what looks like bhakti but is not bhakti. That you have to know. That's one of the anarthas, or unwanted obstacles. Something that looks like bhakti but is not bhakti. And that's usually the philosophy of the Mayavadis, or some materialistic philosophy that appears to be devotional but is not. Bhakti is a science. If you, Rupa Goswami has given the science. Study bhakti. Krishna speaks a lot about it in devotion in Bhagavad Gita. Someone's there? Okay.
Maharaj, with your guidance, I'm sure that we will understand the difference and be in the right path.
But hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord is the fast track. If you want to speed up your bhakti and just hear and chant the glories of the Lord all day, do it all day.
Yes, with mantra, this, yes.
That's the fast track. And that's the recommended way. As a society, we have other responsibilities, which are also part of the process of bhakti. But the essence of bhakti is to hear and chant the glories of the Lord. We have to maintain certain activities in relationship to devotional service, especially if we live in a temple, or we have to take care of family members and friends and responsibilities. We'll have to learn how to apply the principles of bhakti to those activities. The essence of bhakti is hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord. Whether it's Krishna's names, his forms, his qualities, his pastimes, all of these are our focuses on hearing and chanting. We put most of our emphasis on hearing Krishna's name and chanting Krishna's name. That's why it says, Harinama, Harinama, Harinama eva kevalam kalo nasteva 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 atiranyata. That's from the Brihad Narada Diya Purana, but that statement is spoken by Lord Chaitanya. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is emphasizing what is the process. Lord Brahma, the Supreme Being within the universe, he says, Iti soda sakam nam nam, kali kamasanasana, nata paratayo payo sarva vedashu dishute. After searching through all Vedic knowledge, he says, one cannot find a more sublime and simple and direct process for self-realization than chanting these 16 names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. How much time do we spend chanting Hare Krishna? If we can spend 2 hours of quality time chanting Hare Krishna, that's enough. But our chanting is never up to the standard of quality. So we should chant more to help bring about quality. And you got kirtan and you got japa. And then you got the books, Prabhupada's books, narrations of Krishna's leelas, his qualities, how he interacts with his devotees, how he kills the demons. So many things. All of these are all part of purifying our consciousness, awakening our attraction for Krishna.
All day, all time.
That's why the
Thank-
process is
looking forward.
simple.
Thank you, Maharaj.
It's simple. Mr. Raj Ji.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to yourself and all devotees here.
Mr. Raj, Hare Krishna.
Maharaj, you gave, over the recent days, weeks, you've given so many nice instructions, but I feel they're also too incredibly difficult. I feel that maybe I only have a superficial interest in or attachment to the holy name, and that I try and fight the anatas, but they're all like huge, massive demons attacking me from all sides. And I want to serve the devotees, but I only find myself addicted to selfish interest. And I just want to grab hold of your feet and beg for your mercy. And please, can you give me some instruction that is just easier, that I have some chance, some hope of following?
Every day before you chant your rounds, recite the prayers, Shikshastikam prayers, and also recite Rupa Goswami's Namastikam. During your chanting, intermittently pray to the Lord to help you chant purely and attentively. Read Srila Prabhupada's Srimad Bhagavatam every day at a regulated time. And when you're in the temple, think of ways to serve. If you can, when you come and you're there, because service is really what breaks our self-indulgence, our absorption in our own self, is that when we're serving others, we're thinking how to serve others, and we're thinking how to please others by our service. That is the antidote for selfishness, when we just turn our energy, time, and attention to serving others. That will help break that self-indulgence as you describe it. I'm just accepting whatever you say and giving you what I think would be helpful to overcome that. So try those little things, prayers before, during japa. Read Srimad Bhagavatam regularly. Try to read it systematically, starting with first canto, and carefully read it. Read it to understand it. Don't read it just to complete the reading. Read to think about what you're reading. Your natural love for Krishna will start to manifest as you absorb yourself in these activities. And when you're in the temple, you're fortunate, you're connected with the one temple in London, right? The South London Temple, right? You're in the South London Temple, is that correct?
Actually, I don't visit South London very often. I visit the Bhaktivedanta Manor more often.
You go to Bhaktivedanta Manor?
Yes.
And then think of ways, look around, think of ways you can serve, or ask some of the devotees there, is there any service I can do? service is our nature, and if we're either serving Maya or serving Krishna, and the best way to serve Krishna is by serving his devotees.
Thank you very much, Maharaj.
Yeah. Raj, we got right sitting next to me is another person from London. His name is Raj also. So we got Raj 1 and Raj 2. See, he's helping me in carrying out different devotional services.
I pray that I can help you one day, Maharaj.
Right? What I'll do is I'll think of ways and I'll send you some suggestions. But if you have suggestions also, you can also offer those. Let them come in. Come in. Come in. Come in. I'm giving a class right now. Oh, okay. Yeah, I know who you are. You're in Saffron. Yes. Yeah. Well, if you want, sit down. You can listen to the class.
I'll come up sometime.
I'm going to the kirtan right after the class.
Are you free tomorrow?
Just come by anytime.
Yeah.
You look good.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Okay. Any more questions or comments? We got Sri Devi. Sri Devi looks more bright today than she has in the last 2 weeks. She shut off her camera just to make sure I didn't see it. How many hours of kirtan did you do today?
Mataji, you are not able to. Okay.
Morning, Guru Madhya, just all day long.
We can't hear you.
Yeah, your voice is breaking, Mataji. Your voice is breaking. Internet is not.
I've been in the kirtan all day long.
She said, I've been doing kirtan all day long. No.
She did.
She said, I'm doing kirtan all day long.
Good. What is your question?
Mataji, will you type in the chat box?
She's using her phone tonight. That's why.
Yeah. Yes, Guru.
She's not on a regular Zoom. She's on her phone.
Yeah. So while Sridevi Mataji is typing, anybody has any more questions or comments? Guru Maharaj, we have today Shamagori Mataji on the call today. Shamagori Mataji, she joined the call today.
First time?
Yes, Guru Maharaj, yeah.
She's from your area?
Shamagori Mataji from Charlotte, Guru Maharaj.
Oh, Shamagori from Charlotte.
Yes, Guru Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. Good morning.
Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances, all Guru Srila Prabhupada. Actually, my niece, she has a cancer, and they are there in Mumbai. So they want to, meet you, and I just want to introduce them to you, and I want to ask them to join your calls. So, can you hear me?
Yes, Mataji.
I can't.
Yeah, Mataji, can you tell Maharaj what I said?
Yeah, Guru Maharaj heard Mataji.
Oh, heard. Okay.
Guru Maharaj, shall I repeat?
I don't know.
Yeah. Shamagari Mataji wants to introduce her niece to you, Guru Maharaj. They wanted to meet you when you are in Mumbai, and she gave the contact of these classes so that they can join. She was telling that.
Okay, well, they can meet, they can come to Radha Gopinath Temple in Chaupati.
So right now you are not in Radha Gopinath temple, Maharaj.
I'm in Mayapur now.
So when are you going to Radha Gopinath Mandir?
You can see me on Gaur Purnima on the 18th of this month.
Okay, Maharaj. Thank you so much.
18th, 19th, I'll be there.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. So, Guru Maharaj.
Sri Devi's question?
Yes, Guru Maharaj. She's asking, Mataji is asking, I have heard Anartha Nivritti takes. I'll read. Sorry, Guru Maharaj. I have heard Anartha Nivritti takes several lifetimes from a senior devotee. Is this always the case? Shall I repeat it again, Guru Maharaj?
Can you hear me?
Yes, Guru Maharaj.
Okay, now repeat it.
Yeah, I have heard Anartha Nivritti takes several lifetimes from a senior devotee. Is this always the case?
No. You can finish up in one lifetime, but that's generally not the case. Generally, it takes 2 lifetimes of executing pure devotional service before you can purify yourself and go back to Godhead. Generally, it takes 2 lifetimes, but you can do it in one. It depends on the individual. It depends on how much they adopt the process. So persons who give themselves 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and are absorbed in it, obviously they can make faster progress than those who split their day up between devotional service and material activities. Depends on the individual. Prabhupada used to say, he can take millions of lifetimes or he can take 1 minute. Are you able to hear me?
She says, yes, Guru Maharaj.
Okay.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Anybody have any more questions or comments?
Sri Devi, you coming to Kirtan tonight? Yes? Okay, we'll see you there.
Yes, Guru Maharaj. Now I can see away.
I'm inviting everyone to come. Those of you who are in different countries, you can live stream it. You just go on to, what is it, Mayapur TV
On YouTube.
or YouTube. It's on YouTube too.
Sure, Guru Maharaj.
Yeah. It'll be on for another 3.5 hours. Anyone else? Sri Devi, your smile is going to break the glass. You know? It's like she's been in kirtan all day and she's just kind of like lost it now.
Guru Maharaj, I want to announce tomorrow's class. Guru Maharaj.
Okay, I'm ready.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. So tomorrow you are giving class to Yugal Kishore Prabhuji's group. That is, the topic is Adi Leela, Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela, chapter 13, verse 120 to 122. I wrote an email to you, Guru Maharaj, with the topic and the Zoom link.
Adi Leela, chapter 13.
Chapter 13, verse 120 to 122.
Okay, and that's the same time, right?
No, yes, Guru Maharaj, 12 p.m. UK time. It's 5:30 p.m. IST, and for us, for USA devotees, the time is going to change tomorrow. It will be like 8 a.m. Eastern and 7 a.m. Central, and 5 a.m. Pacific time. So, dear devotees, please note the change. USA devotees, especially, please note the change and please join the call. I'll post the link in the WhatsApp group. And Guru Maharaj is going to give class for the same group on March 20th also, Sunday, both Sundays, 13th and 20th. Thank you so much.
And then from Monday, which is Ekadasi in India, at least, we'll be beginning discussing on Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And we'll continue that subject all the way through Gaur Purnima and probably the day after also.
Sure, Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much, Guru Maharaj.
Thank you very much for all of your participation. So continue. But hear and chant the glories of the Lord remains the pinnacle of devotional activities. Take every opportunity to do it. Prabhupada said you can do it with your family members, you could do it with your friends. It just takes at least 3 people to come together and you can hear and chant the glories of the Lord. And you can do it by yourself, but it's always more satisfying when you do it with others. Okay, thank you. We'll see you all
Thank you so
tomorrow.
much, Guru Maharaj. Yeah. Shri Prabhupada ki jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai. Kanchana Abja, we have a new devotee who just joined the camp. He's on there, Kanchana Abja, you can see
Yes,
him.
Guru Maharaj. Yeah, I forgot.
2 days ago, he was sitting with me in the same room 2 days ago. Now he's back in the Vitala Loka.
I'm in Vrindavan, Maharaj, for a few days, and then I'm going back to Patala Loka.
Oh, you're in Vrindavan, great. Yeah, nice. No wonder you still look happy. So okay, that's good.
Happy to see you, Maharaj.
Transport that smiling face all the way back into London, and remind them of what life is all about. Shamarani, she's stuck in London. She's been there for how many decades? We got to get you out of that place.
Yes, Guru Maharaj, pray please.
Come to India sometime.
Yeah. I wish I can fly now, Guru Maharaj.
You
What
can
to
do
do?
it. No, you just say, I'm going to do it, and then do it. That's all. Right, Namrat?